This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Wendy Griffith. The issue of sexual abuse in the church continues to make headlines today, and it's a problem officials in both the Catholic Church and Southern Baptist leaders are responding to. Our Charlene Aaron is following the story and joins us now from the newsroom with more. Charlene.
That's right, Wendy. Nearly 300 U.S. Catholic bishops are meeting in Baltimore today to address the ever-widening clergy sex abuse crisis that has weakened the Catholic Church. Cardinal Daniel DiNardo, president of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, said that they face the task of rooting the evil of sexual abuse from the church. They hope to establish protocols to increase the accountability of bishops in their response to sex abuse cases and the creation of an independent third-party entity that would review allegations of abuse. At the same time, the Southern Baptist Convention is also addressing the problem of sex abuse at its annual meeting. SBC President Ronnie Floyd said, "We lament any abuse that has ever existed in our churches or ministries, and we pledge to devote ourselves aggressively to promote, encourage, and provide the safest of environments for all children and the vulnerable who attend our churches and are part of our ministries." Also, Monday, the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission held a candid conversation about sexual abuse and the Southern Baptist Convention in Birmingham, Alabama. Author, speaker, and sex abuse survivor Beth Moore spoke about the SBC's role in shining a light on the problem.
I was raised in a large family. Not everybody in the family was an abuser, and not everybody in the family was abused. But because there was abuse in the family and there was an abuser in the family, the whole family was sick. And what I want to say to my own family of Southern Baptists, our family is sick. We need help. This is not something this is not conjecture. This is a proven fact. It has come forward. It is before our very eyes. And what will just kill us will be denial. We will never get healthy if we cannot get honest.
Meanwhile, Wendy, the Southern Baptist Convention's executive committee supported a bylaw change that would form a special committee to address misconduct allegations, including sexual abuse. Back to you.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Charlene. Well, a pro-abortion bill allowing nurse practitioners, physician assistants, and others to perform abortions is now law in Maine. Democratic Governor Janet Mills signed the bill Monday. It's one she actually introduced herself. The measure is the latest at the state level dealing with abortion. Many states are making abortion access easier, while others are making it tougher. In Missouri, the state's only abortion clinic is allowed to stay open for now after a dispute between the state and the Planned Parenthood clinic. State health officials say they chose not to renew the clinic's license due to, quote, potential deficient practices. A judge ruled the clinic can stay open until the state makes a final decision. If the state denies the licensing, Missouri would be the first state without an abortion clinic since Roe v. Wade became law. Colorado baker Jack Phillips is being sued a third time for refusing to bake a cake for an LGBTQ person. He reportedly refused to bake a celebration cake for a lady just a year before. Phillips was sued by the state for discrimination in 2012 for refusing to bake a wedding cake for a gay couple. His case went all the way to the Supreme Court. It ruled that the Colorado Civil Rights Commission operated with clear hostility towards Phillips in ruling against him. A Christian school in California is facing a huge battle with the state after it was raided SWAT style earlier this year. The reason? The state read an internet rumor that the school was harboring illegal drugs, harboring ammunition, and preparing for an end times apocalypse. The raid turned up no such evidence. Instead of apologizing for that blunder, the state fined the school that operates as part of a ministry called Teen Rescue. They're accused of operating an unlicensed community care facility. The Pacific Justice Institute represents Riverview Christian Academy and says this is a fight for the future of all Christian schools. Brad Dacus, the president of Pacific Justice Institute, joins us now to tell us more. Brad, welcome to the show.
Oh, my pleasure.
Well, first of all, can you elaborate on how this all started? Tell us about the raid.
Yeah, First, this is a fantastic Christian academy, highly respected. Many parents, they send their children here, and they're having a normal day. And what happens? The state of California, Department of Social Services, they find out from a third-party, far leftist site on the internet that there's allegedly some kind of drug dealing or weapons. It was just a smear on this wonderful Christian academy. So what do they do? Instead of investigating it responsibly, they come in with 16 troopers, 2 canine units, and a host of social workers, just totally blitzkrieging the whole campus, looking at everything, interrogating everyone, everything. And then when they found out that there was nothing there, they doubled down and decided to push them even further and declare that they have to be licensed by the state, and if they're not, they're going to be levied large fines against them. It's an atrocious violation of religious freedom, as well as parents' rights over their children and the teaching and training of their children as well.
Yeah, tell us, Brad, why should every Christian and private school be very concerned about this? Yeah,
if the state gets their way, and they are willing and able to require this school to be licensed, what we're talking about is the state's requirements that this no longer effectively be a Christian school, because the school will no longer be able to restrict the sexual activities of the young people. They will no longer be able to give them clear boundaries regarding religious instruction. This will no longer be a Christian boarding school. And not only this one, but the very few others that exist will be effectively shut down and secularized overnight. And if they get away with this, then the next step will be to apply these same principles to private Christian schools throughout the state of California. And it's not going to stop in California, Wendy. We're going to expect to see this copied in other states across the country, starting with the dark blue states and then moving on in. So it's a very serious concern regarding the rights of a private entity not receiving government money to be able to have a religious school, religious training, quality academics, with parents wanting to be able to and being able to send their children to that kind of a school for that kind of training. That will be completely wiped away in the free United States of America, and that's why we at the Pacific Justice Institute have stepped in.
Well, right. Well, real quick, Brad, what's next in this case?
Well, we have filed a lawsuit against the state of California because of this continued bullying and harassment and threats. The state of California has countered, and they have filed a lawsuit in Shasta County Superior Court. We're in full-force litigation. We're taking on the state of California with all their resources. But this school is not backing down. They know everything is on the table. And we at the Pacific Justice Institute will be in full force litigating this all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary.
All right, Brad Dacus with the Pacific Justice Institute. Thanks for your work on this important case, and we appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you.
Coming up, a look at the latest research on a possible vaccine for Alzheimer's. Plus, one doctor's years of research for what he says can turn the disease around for many who suffer with it.
Roman soldiers destroy the Second Temple of Jerusalem. Centuries of eyewitnesses say the temple treasures survived. But where are they?
They went from Jerusalem to Rome, Rome to Carthage, Carthage to Byzantium.
Historians are silent about what happened to it next.
This is a bad omen.
Hosted and narrated by Gordon Robertson.
So does it still exist today?
CBN Documentaries presents a story of mystery.
Where is it?
Calamity.
Most of the victims were butchered.
And destiny.
The possibility to dig is impossible.
Take a journey to find Treasures of the Second Temple, a CBN Documentaries presentation coming July 8th.
Welcome back. A vaccine to prevent Alzheimer's is in the works at the University of New Mexico. That's according to reports from an Albuquerque television station. Researchers told reporters there they have only tested the vaccine on mice. They say it targets a protein found in a brain with Alzheimer's that contributes to the tangles that disrupt neurons and can lead to the disease. They're hoping to test the drug on humans, but need partnerships to help them develop the vaccine further, which means they need more money. Well, one doctor who's spent decades researching cures and prevention of Alzheimer's believes it can be successfully fought. CBN's Lori Johnson has the story of one of his patients whose Alzheimer's reversed with his treatment.
These days, 69-year-old Sally Weinrich smiles almost all the time, ever since her Alzheimer's symptoms reversed.
Life is good. I like being able to remember, to connect the dots, because I've experienced the absence of thinking, and that is scary.
Her husband, Martin, equally overjoyed.
She has come back.
Sally's not alone. Hundreds of patients with mild to moderate cognitive impairment experience never-before-seen improvements thanks to a revolutionary treatment developed by Dr. Dale Bredesen.
Alzheimer's disease is no longer a mystery. You don't have to say, we don't know why you get it, we don't know what to do about it. We do know why you get it, we do know what to do about it, and we know how to prevent it.
After 30 years of research, Dr. Bredesen is sharing his treatment in the book, The End of Alzheimer's, as well as in medical journals. Just like a roof with 36 holes can only work when all 36 are repaired, Dr. Bredesen says there are 36 causes of Alzheimer's, which must all be addressed.
If there are specific exposures, you want to get rid of those. If there are specific nutritional changes, you want to address those. If there are hormonal changes, you want to address those. If there are inflammatory changes.
Sally and Martin sensed trouble when she began forgetting things, like her grandchildren's names and her purse at the grocery. A test confirmed early stages of Alzheimer's.
It was a total sense of hopelessness. A wish to die and not want to live, because as a nurse, I've cared for Alzheimer's patients, and I also have had family members who I love dearly who've had advanced Alzheimer's and who died from Alzheimer's, in fact.
So, of course, I was scared.
Martin, a scientific researcher, scoured the internet for help. He found Dr. Bredesen's protocol and got Sally on board.
You don't want to wait until it's very late in the game. The earlier the better, and the more likely you're going to see dramatic improvements.
Sally got what Dr. Bredesen calls a cognoscopy, blood work, genetic tests, and more to identify where she was when it came to Alzheimer's 36 causes.
All of us should have a cognoscopy when we get to 45 or more, just as we get a colonoscopy when we're 50. Everybody knows that.
Sally's results pinpointed specific areas of concern.
Each person's program is different, so we developed a computerized algorithm so that you can look at all the different contributors for each person, identify.
The next step for Sally, tailor-made treatment that zeroes in on where she needs improvement. In her case, that meant certain medicines, vitamins, and supplements, more sleep, less stress.
And the first thing I started doing was spending, because Dr. Bredesen talks about decreasing stress, was spending 30 minutes each morning praying. I immediately saw improvement in what I could recall. Next thing I did was increase my exercise. I immediately saw improvement in my thinking.
Sally eats a mildly ketogenic diet as part of her treatment. That means no sugar and very few other carbohydrates.
When I am ketogenic, my brain thinks clearer than when I'm not ketogenic.
Sally eliminated exposure to certain toxins like mold and pesticides, addressed hidden infections in her body, and much more.
I have not gone to town and forgotten my pocketbook since I've started this program. hallelujah, because I need my credit card.
It takes typically 3 to 6 months, but we see unprecedented improvements in their scores, in their ability to go back to work, interact with their families, increases in their hippocampal volumes, things like that.
When it comes to sustainability, Dr. Bredesen says people who have been on the program for 5 years now are still mentally fit. So while genetics mean an estimated 75 million Americans are predisposed to Alzheimer's, like Sally Weinrich, Dr. Dale Bredesen says they no longer have to fear being tested, because now there's something they can do about it.
The fear is pretty much gone. The doubt is pretty much gone. And that's the real Sally. That's who God and Dale Bredesen have given back to me.
Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Thanks, Lori. Still ahead, it could be a greater threat to one of the nation's most populated regions than any other type of disaster. That story after this.
Wouldn't it be great if you could just hop on a plane and fly to a third world country and hand out food and medicine to the needy? And wouldn't it be great if some of those people came to know Jesus as their Savior because of your help? And wouldn't it be great if you could help out people like this all around the world every day? Wouldn't that make you feel great? And what if you could do all of this without having to leave your home or write monthly checks? Well, you can. Partner with CBN and you can help spread the gospel all around the world and make it a better place. And when you sign up for Pledge Express, your contribution will be deducted from your bank account every month automatically. It's a safe and simple way to make a difference. Plus, wouldn't it be great to get life-changing teachings every month from Pat and Gordon? When you sign up for Pledge Express, you'll save time and money, and you won't just sit around and watch the world go by. You'll help change it for the glory of God. Now, wouldn't that be great?
When you care, souls are set free. When you give, lives are made new. When you share, eternal life begins. When we all come together to love, miracles happen.
Well, if earthquakes and wildfires weren't enough of a natural disaster concern in California, there's an even greater concern, an epic once-in-a-lifetime storm that could flood the Los Angeles area. It's why the Corps of Engineers is rushing to upgrade the Whittier Narrows Dam. Our Heather Sells shows us why it's so important for the people and their homes in the region.
The Army Corps of Engineers oversees the safety of 700 dams nationwide. These giant public works protect millions of Americans from flooding, except when they fail, and then the results can be catastrophic. Right now, the Corps has 11 dams on its urgent repairs shortlist. It has approved final designs for 10. The last in the proverbial pipeline, California's Whittier Narrows Dam.
Life safety is a #1 priority. On behalf of the public, we are federally mandated to build these projects, but also maintain these projects.
But the threat is easy to ignore, at least here in Southern California, where wildfires and earthquakes are more top of mind. For most of the year, the Whittier Dam, like many in the arid Southwest, is dry. Its purpose is not to hold water back, but to slow down rushing water when a storm hits. Most of the time, that flow is manageable. But when the big one comes, everything will be on the line as waters rush from the mountains down to the Pacific.
This dam is huge, and for good reason. In the event of an epic flood, tremendous amounts of water would rush through here. Picture the equivalent of 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools per second.
Up to 1 million people could be affected in 25 cities downstream of this dam, all the way down to Long Beach and the Pacific Ocean.
It's the sheer number of people in LA that has caught the Corps' attention. Engineers say while the dam is relatively safe, given the population, it can't take chances. And even a layperson can spot the obvious wear and tear on this 60-year-old structure. Still, Army Corps engineers say that what they really must prepare for is that rare, once-in-a-lifetime monster storm.
And this is not a flood that we're expecting once in a year or once in 100 years. But we have to be prepared because we want to make sure that we're being good stewards of the dams that we operate as the Corps of Engineers.
The Corps says it got serious about reevaluating these structures after Hurricane Katrina.
The lessons that we've learned from Hurricane Katrina are much of the reason why we're trying to be proactive with all the rest of the dams within the Corps of Engineers.
The levees in New Orleans could not withstand the Category 3 storm, and when they broke, surging floodwater poured into the city. Some 1,200 people died, and the region lost over $100 billion in property damage. The Corps plans to spend $500 million to fortify the Whittier Dam, and while that's a steep price tag to prepare for an unlikely event, the Corps points to Katrina and other recent history to make its point.
One of the things that the folks in Houston learned after their experience with Hurricane Harvey is it only takes one event for something to fail.
Los Angelinos share a similar risk factor with Houston, urban sprawl. Miles of unending pavement mean that heavy rainfall has nowhere to go. If the dam failed during an epic storm, that sprawl would quickly lead to incredible flooding for nearby communities, anywhere from waist-high water to much worse. The Corps points to the city of Pico Rivera, right next to the dam, as the most vulnerable.
They estimate that we would be under 20 feet of water in the event this event happened.
Pico Rivera is working with nearby municipalities to prepare evacuation routes. Acting City Manager Steve Carmona believes that residents would have several days' notice to flee, but he's taking no chances.
It is one of our highest priorities.
It's a little shocking, a little scary, a little bit eye-opening, but it's the reality of living next to a dam and living in this part of Southern California that flash floods can happen in a matter of hours.
The Whittier Dam has become a recreational area for the region, and many residents don't even realize its true purpose. But from the Corps' perspective, the earthen dam is vulnerable in a very severe storm to erosion underneath and even water coming over the top. It hopes to begin repairs soon and finish by 2025. But local members of Congress want an even faster timeline and are asking Washington to funnel extra funds to speed up the work. In the meantime, authorities will work to build public awareness and support for the massive project and encourage evacuation planning. This, along with assuring communities that their backyard dam is as safe as it needs to be. Reporting in Pico Rivera, California, Heather Sells, CBN News.
Thanks, Heather. Coming up, one American pastor's encounter with Chinese Christians, what they did that amazed him, and influences how he prays for the church in America and China.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. you'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Here, we're committed to a heritage of rigorous scholarship dating back over 1,000 years.
And to a faith tradition dating back 1,000 more.
This is how we create a culture of inquiry where no topic is off limits.
And a culture of hope.
Anything's possible!
It's Christian leadership.
And it's changing the world for the better.
It's higher learning.
It's greater knowing.
It's what makes us whole.
It's what makes us Regent.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
An American pastor was blown away on a recent trip to China where he met a group of Chinese Christians whose dedication to their faith humbled him. Pastor Wayne Cordero of Hawaii learned they had a very sobering reason for their ability to memorize large amounts of God's Word.
I said, "Where did you memorize so many chapters?" She said, "In prison." I said, "You have much time in prison." So I said, "But don't they confiscate the Bible?" And she said, "Yes." So people bring in scriptures written on pieces of paper, and they bring it in. So I said, "But then if they find that piece of paper on you, won't they confiscate that?" She said, "Oh yes, that's why you memorize it as fast as you can. Because even though they can take the paper away, they can't take what's hidden in your heart."
Wow. Cordero says out of the 22 Chinese Christians he met, 18 had been jailed because of their Christianity. He says even though they asked him to pray for the church to become more like the American church in its freedoms, he's praying for the American church to become more like them in their devotion to Christ. That's going to do it for this edition of Newswatch. You can find more on the issues you care about most at cbnnews.com and can watch CBN News programs anytime on our CBN News channel. Plus, tell us what you think. See you next time. Bye-bye.